Hey guys, Britt Merrick here, and I just wanted to give you a little info on the OG Flyer that we're re-releasing. The Flyer goes back 20 years. It's been our most popular shortboard design, our most enduring one, and by far our most enjoyed and maybe the most influential shortboard design that we've had in the last 20 years. In the late 90s, when my dad was shaping for a bunch of the best surfers in the world, they were realizing that their equipment during the time was kind of a hindrance in lesser waves and in smaller surf. You'll remember that the boards were much narrower, longer, and much more rockered out than they are now. And so they wanted a board that had more get up and go and speed and flow in smaller waves, and so my dad came up with this board. And he was, in essence, shortening the regular shortboards, widening the boards, and had a much flatter rocker than what they were used to. And I heard Taylor Knox talk about it recently when he got his first Flyer around about 98 or so. And he said he never knew that he'd be able to surf small waves that good. He just didn't know that he had it in him. The board was that free and it opened up that many possibilities. And going shorter and wider and flatter really began to change the trajectory of shortboards at the time, and stuff pretty much began to head that way. So for the last 20 years, we've had a lot of different iterations of the Flyer. We've had the Flyer F, the Flyer 2, just all different variations on this board. But this is the original one. At different times we've changed the rockers, we've changed the contours. In the early 90s it was strictly a single concave and not a double concave like it was originally or like it is now. But this is as close as we can get to the original intent of what my dad was doing with those top surfers in the late 90s. The things that go into the Flyer that make it the board that it is, it has so much speed and flow and is so fast and maneuverable in all sorts of ways, has to do with the outline, the foil, and the rocker, as all surfboards do. But the Flyer is going to have a fuller outline than your average shortboard. You're going to order it shorter and wider, which is automatically going to kind of change the way that the curves flow, but it's meant to carry that width throughout the length of the board. This is my assistant Fifi right here. So for example, this is Zeke's board. He's got it it's a 6.0. He's normally riding 6.1s right now, so it's shorter. It's a bit wider, but again, it carries that width. So the nose is over 1/4 of an inch wider than his average shortboard, and the tail is about 1/2 inch wider than his normal shortboard. So more planing area equals more speed, more flow, a lot more get up and go and lesser surf. And then the foil of the board, if you look down the foil of this board, you can see that it carries the foil really well. It carries the foam really well. So there's quite a bit of foam underneath the chest, quite a bit of foam toward the rear of the board, but it never feels fat. It never feels out of place. It feels really balanced. And what helps that is it's got my dad's really nice down rail on it. So it's not an overly full rail. It's of course not a pinched rail, but it's a really sensitive rail, but maintaining a good amount of foam in it. And then of course the rocker and the contours are the most important thing. Surprisingly, the Flyer actually has quite a bit of entry rocker. This will actually have a little more entry rocker than some of the boards that Zeke is riding right now, but the business end of the board, the back end, is where all the speed gets done. So it'll have about 1/2 inch less tail rocker, for example, than what Zeke is riding now, since this is his board. It's got a deep single concave all the way through the middle, and then between the fins it's got a double concave within the single concave. So that's just a really fast lane for the water to get from the front of the board to the back of the board, but also the double concave breaks up the lateral flow of the water so that it's really quick and rail-to-rail transition, and it feels really free under your feet. And then that feeds into V off the block of the tail. So the board is just put together in a way that is really fast, has tons of flow, super easy to surf, and it's just one of those boards where you say, this is a board that I want to ride all the time.